Okay, no. Well, we're talking to I guess, basically the Allred family or anybody who's interested.
Hello, everybody.
Mm. And I want to talk a little bit more about Roy. Um, and I keep on forgetting, I need to say who these people are. It's Royal Allred, and he's my stepfather.
No middle name.
Yeah, no middle name. And we're going to finish up because the last one I kind of lost it and talking about him because that's just how much I loved him and do love him. So we're going to finish up talking about Roy. We're going to talk about some happy memories, just lighthearted, what it was like to live with him, some of the things that we found funny about Roy, and if any of my family or the Allred family have any questions, I'll try to get them answered for you. But we're just gonna finish this one up with some funny little stories about Roy, the things that we remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to my mom. I think she wants to talk about F Troop. So um, go ahead, Mother. Let's give them
All
some
right.
memories about Roy.
The funniest one about Roy, and he was funny. Roy was a funny man and quiet, but he had a sense of humor, but he didn't show it very often. But this one day, he was sitting on the lounge in his usual spot watching the television, and F Troop was on, and he loved that show. And my three kids come bouncing in through the back door, and they didn't. They always was where they shouldn't have done is interrupt Roy while he was watching a television show, but he never said anything. Anyway, all of a sudden he let out this big rip roar and ho ho ho, and, and the kids stopped in their tracks and listened, and they said Roy's laughing, and they had never heard him laugh like that before. And the three of them run into the kitchen to tell me where I was cooking or doing something. And they said, Mother, Roy's laughing. And I said, Yes, I know, just leave him alone. And but that was Roy. He loved that show. He thought that was the funniest. So anyway, that's all I can say about that. The kids left him alone. I said, Don't you interrupt him. So they didn't. They went on outside and played some more.
Well, F Troop was when F Troop came on, um, and we watched it with him. But it was the one show that could make when Roy laughed, he had a big belly laugh. I mean, he
Yeah.
really, but he did it so rarely that it was an event when Roy laughed, and I can remember him watching F Troop and just laughing. I mean, if you guys have never seen F Troop, you need to go watch F Troop. Find it on Netflix or wherever you can find it. Go watch F Troop because that was Roy's number one show.
It
And
was funny.
we would be watching F Troop with him, laying on the ground, watching it. But when Roy started laughing with F Troop, our focus no longer was on the program. We would all turn and watch Roy laugh. So because we just got so tickled about that. Anyway, I have another kind of neat story about your dad's character, what kind of a person he was, um, and I'll let Mother tell it. It was about him running over my dog. So, he,
Oh, I thought I told that.
no, you didn't tell it.
Oh,
I mean, you told me, but we didn't get it on recording, so we're gonna go ahead and record it.
okay. Well, this weekend that the Roy was going to take the two boys fishing, and in this very unsafe little open fishing boat, and he couldn't take Robin because she was a girl, and he didn't want her to get hurt. So he disappeared for a while and came back with this little puppy to entertain her for the weekend while the boys were gone. So anyway, she played with this little dog that night and looked after it. And the next day, he went to work, and as he came into it was a big yard, and he swerved in with this big truck of his and hit the little puppy and killed it. Well, that shook her up, and she was crying and going on. And he said, he came into the kitchen to me, and he said, I'll be back in a few minutes, so don't wait for me. So, okay, he took off and left Robin with this poor little dead dog in her arms. And when he came back, he had the fanciest bike you ever saw. It had all the dingo-dangos and ribbons and toots and everything you could think was on that bike. And boy, that was the end of the dog. She was so thrilled with that bike that she didn't let go of it for days, I don't think. So anyway, I'll let you tell her about the bike.
Yeah, the bike was really cool. Matter of fact, I guess it was so cool because I don't remember him hitting the dog. So, but anyway, I do remember that bike and him bringing it to me and presenting it to me. I guess that's when he took the dead dog out of my arms. But anyway, the dog was gone and the bike was in. Another little cool story was when he bought my horse. He bought me a horse, but the horse was named Sassy. But anyway, I was sitting on the floor, and they were negotiating over this horse. And Roy was a shrewd negotiator, if nothing else.
Not kidding.
And he's on the phone. I already seen the horse. I wanted the horse. And he was negotiating over this horse. And I'm sitting on the floor, and we get this telephone call. And the price just wasn't right for Roy. And he turns the horse down. And of course, my heart was broken, and I'm sitting there crying. And I'm like, I'm not going to get my horse. I'm not going to get my horse. And he tells me, he goes, just hold on. You know, just wait. Just wait a while. And about 30 minutes later, get the call back. And we get the call back, and the guy came down on the price of the horse. Long story short, I got the horse, but Roy was a shrewd negotiator. Those are just some of the funny stories. Mom, do you remember the story of Clyde and the salesman? You might want to talk about that.
Don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Oh, that's where the dog... We had this big German Shepherd.
Yeah, Clyde.
And like I said, Roy didn't laugh very often. Well, was it Clyde or was it Larry? Well, it doesn't matter.
Larry, it wasn't Clyde,
Yeah.
because that was Scott's.
Yeah, I think it was Larry, this big old beautiful German Shepherd sitting.
He got from the yard where he worked. They left him up there in the heat, and Roy went up and got him and brought him home. And we were all scared of Larry at first, right at the beginning. We come in, and there's Larry in the living room with his big teeth showing. We didn't know what to do with Larry. But anyway...
Well, Larry, like I said, Roy didn't laugh very often, but when he did, it was always funny. Because he did have a sense of humor, but it was just kind of dry. And here's this salesman coming to see Roy out in the yard with his big old orange truck.
His bum or something like that.
And he was talking to Roy, and I was standing there. I'm just a little kid. But here you have the salesman, and then you have Roy, and then you have Larry sitting in the middle of these two men. And I'm sitting here watching this, and Larry's looking up at Roy when Roy's talking, and then when the salesman talks, he's looking over at the salesman, and then he's looking back over at Roy, and then for whatever reasons, I don't know whether Roy's attitude changed or what, but Larry all of a sudden reaches up and grabs the salesman's family jewels. Doesn't bite him, just has them in his mouth. And the salesman doesn't know what to do, and Roy loses it. He just loses it. He laughs and laughs and laughs, and he couldn't quit laughing. And I don't know. I guess Larry let go of the guy's family jewels, but all I remember is that dog looking up at Roy, looking up at the salesman, looking at Roy, and then back to the family jewels. So, anyway, that's a funny story that I thought you guys would enjoy. And I need to wrap this segment up because we're right at 10 minutes now. And I don't know. Life with Roy was always interesting. So, Mother, you have anything to say to that? Because I actually talked more on this than you did.
He was a very good man, and that they were very few and far to find. And I was lucky to find this one.
So, one other thing we want to share is Roy wrote some beautiful poems.
Oh, he did too.
He was a writer. And share the one about your nursing creed. And let's finish with that.
Well, I don't know the creed altogether, but once a year when the classes started, see, we had classes once a year of those that were chosen to go through the whole year, and then they had to come up with a name for the class, and then what would you call it?
A creed.
A creed for the class that hung up on the wall. And I remember that, and I went home that night and I sat at that table trying to figure out what I should write, you know. And he said, "Give it to me." And I handed over this blank piece of paper, and he wrote the nicest creed that I can't remember. All I remember is it ended up with, "And we will always treat them with tender, loving care." That was the end of it. But anyway, it sounded so good, I took it in the next morning like I'd written it. And they accepted it and put it up on the wall, and that was his creed was up there.
Well, we're going to try and find some of his poems. I know he wrote me a poem, and it's in my vault. It's the only one he ever wrote to me. But he did write poems. And he was just a gentleman. I always said he was a gentleman that carried a big stick because he was our protector.
Like that, what was his name that wrote?
Sam McGee, something.
Who?
I don't know, the poem about Sam McGee.
Yeah, Sam McGee and...
well, he could recite that from heart, and that was a long poem.
And then there was another guy that wrote books. And I can't remember his name, but he wrote a lot of good...
Charles Russell. He loved Charles Russell.
Oh, yeah. We went up to see Charles Russell's memorial and art gallery at Butte, Montana.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap this up or else I can't get it downloaded. But anyway, those are some funny stories about Roy. I certainly didn't want to leave it at me kind of crying on the last one. But... hope you guys enjoy these stories. Maybe it'll give you a little insight what it was for us to live with Roy. And I hope you enjoy them. And like I said, if you have any questions, just private message me and we'll try and get those questions asked for you. So,
and Tommy, you take care, okay?
Well, that's the whole Allred family, you know. Jan, Richard, Tommy. And so anyway, we love you guys and I hope you're liking these videos. So, talk to you later. Bye.